Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were part of my live stream this last Sunday or if you watched it on the rerun, I spent a couple of minutes talking about a digital cryptocurrency that the government / central banks will be coming out with once they lose control of the markets. So right now they still have control of the markets. Right now I believe that they are practicing what's called yield curve control in order not to allow the yield curve, the percentage that the 10-year bond, 30-year bond, etc. have, go up. The higher that percentage goes up, the closer that we will be to popping. Why is that? Because that's very deflationary. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I just saw this article here where it says the dangers of central bank digital currencies. And I read it already, and I agree with almost all of it. Because it is going to be something that they do as a last-ditch effort in order to save the system, meaning in order for them to stay in control, while telling you that it's for your betterment, when in fact it's going to strip you of your privacy and eventually your right to purchase whatever you want to purchase. So let's go ahead and read this article. In recent weeks, Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve and Christine Lagarde at the European Central Bank have commented on the likelihood of implementing a digital currency in the next years. They're pretty much telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, that this system has only a few years left, if that. I'm sure we'll have more crashes, but they don't plan. At least the Federal Reserve came out today with a statement, or yesterday with a statement saying that they don't plan on allowing the system to crash more than 10%, meaning they're going to do everything in their powers to keep the system going until they can no longer do it. The positives have been well explained. More transparency, ease of use, and lower cost. I don't understand why they have to come out with a Fed coin in order to do that. There's a cryptocurrency market right now that seems to be doing very well, but they have no control over it. The ECB has stated that a digital euro will guarantee that citizens in the euro area can maintain costless access to a simple, universally accepted, safe and trusted means of payment. The digital euro would still be a euro, like banknotes, but digital. It would be an electronic form of money issued by the central bank and accessible to all citizens and firms. A digital euro, ladies and gentlemen, will not replace cash. And if you hear me talking about this, when I remember stating specifically that when they come out with this digital currency, that cash is not going to go away. That they're still going to allow you the availability of cash, but that little by little, cash would be going away and phased out, and you'll be left with a digital currency. But rather complement it. The euro system will continue to ensure that you have access to euro cash across the euro area. A digital euro would give you an additional choice about how to pay and make it easier to do so, contributing to financial inclusion alongside cash. They are making sure that they include alongside cash in there. They want you to think that their end goal is to have a digital euro and cash long term. And that, ladies and gentlemen, when you read between the lines, when you see what's going on with the financial system, that's not their goal at all. In my opinion, their goal is to get us to a 100% digital currency that is controlled 100% by the banks. In the United States, many voices call for a digital dollar to compete with China's yuan. What voices call for this digital dollar, ladies and gentlemen? The only people that I've ever heard calling for a digital dollar controlled by the Federal Reserve is the Federal Reserve / its pundits. However, the US dollar is already the world reserve currency. It is used in more than 80% of global transactions, while the yuan is used in less than 4%, according to the Bank of International Settlements. And most payments and transfers are already electronic. So why do they want to have a digital dollar for the use of the common person, of the layman like you and I? If most payments are already electronic, ladies and gentlemen, ask yourselves that. Because that way, the Federal Reserve and the central banks can be in control of that digital dollar, whereas of now they are not. The euro is the second most used currency and is also mostly through electronic transfer. One can say that the US dollar and the euro are already digital. All of this sounds good, so why should we worry about the central bank digital currency? Good question. The first is privacy. The central bank would control almost all transactions in a currency and have all the information of how deposits and savings are kept. The gradual implementation of central bank digital currency would involve important risks of privacy, but also concern about the central bank controlling the amount of savings and their form. A central bank that controls all transactions and how savings are kept is also able to act against those savings by dissolving them with monetary policy. In other words, it's just like I've stated in the past, ladies and gentlemen, they'll put money in your digital wallet and they'll say, hey, this money's going to have this certain amount of inflation for this certain amount of period, for this long. And if you don't use your money by this time, it's going to be worth less and less and less. They already control inflation by the amount of money that they print, or fiat currency that they print and put out into the economy. However, what they're having problem with is they can't make people spend it. With a digital wallet, they'll make you spend it, because if you don't, you'll lose it. The most important risk of a digital currency is that it would provide unlimited power to central banks and increase the money supply and direct it where governments want it. For example, let's say that they want you to spend your money in a certain area. Well, they'll incentivize you by allowing you to spend your money in that area without penalizing you with inflation. But if they don't want you to spend your money in a different area, they'll penalize you if you spend your money in that area by causing inflation to your money, allowing it to decrease in value. The digital currency would eliminate the banks and intermediaries in the transmission mechanism of monetary policy. These breaks are and have been essential to contain inflation and excessive government control of money creation. In quantitative easing, the credit system works as a tool to prevent the inflation pressure of money supply. When central banks increase their balance sheet, it does not immediately translate to inflation because we, the citizens and businesses, limit the money supply risk by destroying purchasing power of the currency by taking less credit than the increase in the money supply. If citizens and business do not demand more credit, the transmission mechanism of monetary policy has enough backstops that prevents excessive money from creating massive inflationary pressures in goods and services. Yes, quantitative easing does generate massive inflation in asset prices by making the most secure asset, sovereign bonds, very expensive. But it certainly works well as a brake on inflationary risk. Governments are also limited in their borrowing desires by their budgets and internal financial controls. Money creation is never neutral, and this proportionally benefits the first recipients of new money created. I've stated this several times, ladies and gentlemen. When new money is created, the only person that benefits from that new money creation is the person that spends it first. After that, it trickles down, and as it's trickling down, it's losing value. And usually by the time it's lost most of its value is when it gets down to us, you and I, the average person. The digital currency would not only open the floodgates of much higher money supply growth, but destroy all the mechanisms that prevent new money from being absorbed entirely by political spending and eroding the purchasing power of salaries and wages. In essence, a central bank digital currency can be the dream of a central planner as the ultimate tool for the exportation of wealth and taking control of an economy to put it entirely in the hands of government. A digital currency could open the risk of eliminating all controls on government spending, as politicians would be the first recipients of all newly created money and able to do so without budget control. As such, a digital currency could be a dangerous tool used for the nationalization of the economy. You understand that, ladies and gentlemen? The nationalization of the economy. What is that? When government controls the entire economy. You let me know in the comments. When banks and the credit mechanisms are erased from the transmission of monetary policy, the risk of inflation and destruction of the purchasing power of the currency rises massively. It would eliminate the demand part of the credit mechanism and a brake on inflation. The reader may think that the above is too negative and that this would not necessarily happen. However, the reader must think of the following question. If governments are given a tool that allows them to spend all they want and take control of the economy, do you really believe that they will not use it? Ask yourselves that question, ladies and gentlemen. The government has proven to us nothing except that they are not here for us and that they are here for themselves. I was mentioning on my previous live stream on Sunday that someone had left me a comment telling me, AP, people need that $1,400, you know, and I mentioned that, yes, people do need the $1,400 stimulus. They do need it. But the question you need to be asking is not, do they need it? Why do they need it? Why are they in a place in their lives where they need it? It's because something happened that made them be in that need. What was it that happened, and who was it that implemented the regulations and the laws or bylaws or statutes, whatever you want to call it, that put them in that place to be in such need of $1,400? The reader may say that central banks are independent, and that this independence prevents governments from crowding out all money supply and take ultimate risk. Unfortunately, the independence of central banks is increasingly questioned, and monetary policy has gone from being a tool to help make structural reforms to a tool to avoid them. The fact that central banks are almost in all occasions taking actions to facilitate more crowding out of the public sector and more government control and spending does not help either. A digital currency can only be a good idea if central banks had no power in the increase of the money supply. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's all about. That is why central banks do not want to deal with any of these uncentralized cryptocurrencies that we have now, like Bitcoin. They cannot control the supply of Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies in the market that are uncentralized, meaning that are not governed by them. If they had clear and unbreakable rules, such as a Taylor rule regarding their policy and discretionary measures were impossible, keep dreaming. It's never going to happen. The only way in which a digital currency would work for savers and real wages is if there was a clear evidence that it would not be controlled by central banks, curbing the ever-increasing government control of the economy. Unfortunately, that is not the case. When neo-Keynesians talk about innovation in central banking and digital currency, what they are taking is simply Argentina-style monetary printing to advance government control of the economy. Go ahead and throw Venezuela in there as well. A central bank digital currency would eliminate all the remaining limits to government control of the economy. The risks of a digital currency is enormous. Privacy could disappear and the limits to government spending would be eliminated. Even worse, the power of governments to decide who and why receives new tokens of this money would be unchallenged. In today's world, we should not even discuss any tool that can open the gate of giving even more power and control of the economy, wages, and savings to the government. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I agree with this article 100%. It is exactly what's in the plans. They are planning to roll this out, and it's why I always say that they need a bigger crisis in order to roll this out. That's why we have to be prepared. Was this a prepping video? Indeed it was, and it is, because this is the information that we need in order to better prepare for our future. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in today. I'm not sure if you hear Pebbles in the background meowing, but it's because the dogs went out to play and she's still in the house. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Last Prepper. I am out. God bless.